We led by Alderman Nash.
Almighty God, we ask for your blessings upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all of our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings and keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of our community. Amen.
Amen. Alderwoman Gould, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge Alderman Joe DeLucia. He has a point of personal privilege to share.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Expressing the regrets of Alderwoman Burnham, who could not be here tonight, she sent me a brief statement that I'd like to read. It says, "Due to a death in the family, I am not able to attend tonight. It has been a distinct honor to serve you these past 2 years. Thank you for trusting me to represent your voice. Respectfully, Alderwoman Stephanie Burnham." On a personal note, I would like to express my personal condolences to Alderwoman Burnham and her family for their loss. This being what would have been her last council meeting, I would like to say that I will miss Stephanie's perspective, especially when it differed from mine. I will miss her tenacity, but most of all, I will miss her loyalty. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Certainly the city joins with you in expressing deepest sympathy to her and her family on the loss of their loved one.
Proclamation, Small Business Saturday.
I'm going to read this from my seat for purposes. This is a proclamation from our city. Whereas Norwich celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. According to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 30.7 million small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of all firms with paid employees in the United States and are responsible for 64.9% of net new jobs created from 2000 to 2018. And whereas 94% of consumers in the United States value the contribution small businesses make in their community, and whereas 96% of consumers who plan to shop on Small Business Saturday said the day inspires them to go small, independently owned retailers or restaurants that they have not been to before or not have otherwise tried. And whereas 92% of companies planning promotions on Small Business Saturday said the day helps their business stand out during the busy holiday shopping season. And whereas 59% of small business owners said Small Business Saturday contributes significantly to their holiday sales each year. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now therefore I, Mayor Peter Albert Nystrom, and Norwich City Council President Pro Tem Bill Nash, on behalf of the Norwich City Council and the citizens of the City of Norwich, to hereby proclaim November 30th, 2019 as Small Business Saturday and urge all of Norwich to support small businesses today and throughout the year, dated this 18th day of November, 2019. It is signed by myself and Pro Tem Nash. Thank you for listening.
Citizen Comment General.
I declare Citizen Comment General open. We have 3 people that are signed up. The first person is Tark Richard Arud, Esquire. Please identify yourself by your name and address. Each person speaking will have 3 minutes, and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Tark Richard Awedi. I am Executive Director on the Council of American Islamic Relations, Connecticut. My address is 475 Center Road, Rear, Wallingford, Connecticut. Mayor, I'd like to thank you for meeting with us and talking to the Muslim community along with members of the CSP and the owner of the Norwich Tigers, Mr. E. Miles Prentice. I appreciate your leadership and your real want to help in this situation. However, after that meeting, which CARE and other members of the Muslim community were not invited to or informed of, there was a statement issued in one of the local newspapers in which you declared that you're not really, you don't really care, I'm paraphrasing and I apologize, what about foreign policy issues or any other personal issues of Mr. E. Miles' presence or the organization that he chairs, the Center for Security Policy. All you care is if he runs a good baseball team. And God bless him, he must run a good baseball team, but that's not the issue, and it's not a foreign policy issue. We have 9 to 12, depending on how you count, people from the city of Norwich who happen to be Muslims, who happen to be Americans, who are here today to speak out against the policies and ideas of the Center for Security Policy, which this town indirectly funds by giving them, or at least their chairperson, a place to run his business. And it's not foreign policy that they're talking about, because part and parcel of what they say is that American Muslims, and that is us here nationally, American Muslims are subversive termites eating away at our nation from the inside out. That most Muslim American groups of any prominence are known to be, as a matter of fact, hostile to the United States Constitution. That the first black president of the United States was not born in this country and was a secret Muslim operative. And these are American Muslims, not Egyptian Muslims or Algerian Muslims or Iranian Muslims. These are American Muslims. That the former president's Muslim roots are apparent when looking at the moniker of the U.S. Missile Defense Program, which resembles a star and crescent moon, the symbol of Islam. That mosques in America are Trojan horses used by Muslims to promote sedition, and claims that Sharia is a seditious program. I am going to fast forward. That we're waging stealth jihad. That these 12 citizens of this city of Norwich are somehow not like every one of you all. That we have some kind of alternative motive, that we want to eat away at what makes us all American, what makes us all the best that we have to offer. And that's not that's very national, it's not foreign policy, and that's very bigoted. It might not be racist, because Muslim is not a race, and I've been told that several times. Muslim is not a race, but it is the second largest religion in the world, and there are 12 people from the city of Norwich right here that adhere to that faith and really hold the comments of the CSP and the ideology of Mr. E. Miles Prentice contrary to their position as Americans, not as Iranians or Egyptians or any of those, because they gave up that a long time ago. We are Americans. This is a real local issue. And we'd like you to take a stance and say that the city of Norwich and all of y'all don't stand behind the ideas expressed by the Center for Security Policy. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your leadership, Mayor. I really appreciate it. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, sir. Abdul Halim Jones.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu Rasulullah. In the name of God, most beneficent, most merciful. My name is Abdul Halim Jones. I'm a resident of North Stonington, but I work here in here in Norwich, and I'm also a representative of the only Muslim mosque in Norwich. So thank you all for this opportunity. I just wanted to share our sentiment regarding the issue that my brother spoke about. So we were sad as a community to learn about the city's position to do business with someone who held views such as he expressed. And we definitely appreciate your efforts, Mayor. I told you this directly. We appreciate your leadership and your efforts to bring us together and reach some type of solution and some closure. However, we did not get the closure that we needed, and I think you know that. We discussed that. So we don't want this issue to go away because we're human beings and we still have these feelings, and we still would like our grievances and our concerns to be addressed. So as a solution, we invite you, Mayor, and whoever on this board to speak with us, to come visit our mosque and talk to our community and let us know where you stand. So that's all we ask. I hope you will honor us with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sami Ahmed? No? Okay, thank you. Is anyone else like to speak the non-agenda items? Yes, sir. Back.
Hi, John Levangie, 85 Lawler Lane here in Norwich. I'm a season ticket holder at Dodge Stadium, have been for 4 years. I've never met Mr. Prentice. I just thought I'd mention that to the gentleman. I have never even seen him. But I'm more interested right now and concerned, actually, that the team that we have at Dodge Stadium right now may be gone after next year, thanks to the arrogance and greed of Major League Baseball. Right now, there's about 42 teams on the chopping block. From what we have right now, 160 minor league teams are going to chop it down to 118. Norwich isn't being targeted. There's 8 other teams just in the New York Penn League alone that's being targeted. And I think I spoke to Senator Blumenthal's office today, and I'm suggesting that somebody should be filing legislation to strip baseball of their antitrust exemption, and anything else that anybody could do certainly be a good thing to keep baseball around here in Norwich. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Marvin Ceruto, 100 Star Street, Norwich, Connecticut, United States of America. I don't know Mr. Prentice either. I happen to be a fan of baseball, but just because he belongs to an organization and that organization has been accused unsubstantially does not make him a racist. Just because I go to this Roman Catholic church up the street here, that also does not make me a pedophile. It does involve our nation. I happen to be a veteran of the United States Submarine Force, and it involves our Constitution. Right here in this hometown of Norwich, an American city, not a global city. Everything you read about in the press now is what you're against. I like waffles. I must be against pancakes. I don't like ice cream. I must be anti-Dairy Queen. I, for one, am tired of it. And I'm not afraid of anybody. I'll stand up here and go face to face, nose to nose, and toe to toe with anybody. And now I'll get to what I originally wanted to talk about. It could be a pretty historic night for somebody to come up here and thank our mayor to be involved with what was possibly a life-saving event on Atrabando Avenue. Thank you very much. I grew up with the mayor. He's a heck of an American and a heck of a neighbor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the council on yes, please.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk.
Absolutely.
I too want to speak, as I am another one of these Muslims that brother talk about.
Could we
So I've
please
been
have
here-
could you just please have your name and address?
My name is Rafiq Chaudhry from 31 Mopsic Street in Norwich, Connecticut, and I have been a resident of Norwich for the past 16 years. I have went to the school right here in NFA, went through the Norwich system, everything went through. What I wanted to just emphasize is that as a community, we ask that this is a huge issue that we're concerned about, and it impacts us. And there's a huge community just in Norwich that this impacts. I'm not violent. I'm not spreading hate towards anyone, and no one else should do the same thing. So as a citizen of Norwich, our tax money goes towards supporting this team. We believe that the leader for this team, the owner, should not be representing something that we as citizens do not believe in, because they're getting our money. It's something as a civilian of Norwich we're providing, and they're getting a business based on that. And I feel strongly that as a Muslim, there's a lot more to us than just being terrorists or just being provoked in a certain way. And I feel like the ideology that is being spread is spread out throughout the United States. And it's something that it might be a small issue in our city, but we need to take seriously. It's not something that's seen lightly by any one of us. And that's why on like a Monday night, I'm here as like probably one of the youngest person here. And we're really strong about it, and I think the city should definitely take a stance on it and should not be lackadaisical in response to that. Because at the end of the day, we're all American. It doesn't matter where we're coming from. I was born in Bangladesh, but I'm way more American than I am a Bengali. And I'm a Muslim, but I'm also an American. And I think everyone needs to be aware of that we're people, and we live in your community. And it's a big issue that we should all focus on. That's all I had to say.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak non-agenda items? Yes, sir.
My name is Jean Santil. Live in Norwich, 85 Alice Street, Extension. I am here to talk about a property that I purchased in Norwich. It's 218 Broad Street. It's about a year working on a contract as part of a short sale for the property. I have spoke with almost every council member, email, voicemail, regarding a $10,000 that was proposed by MIT, I believe loss mitigation, to actually settle junior liens on the property. When I spoke with everybody, I said, hey, they are putting me on the hook for $10,000 while I was not willing to agree to that. So based on that, I forwarded an email to Katie, Stacy, and every members. I'd like to propose a certain amount that I can afford to actually purchase the property. On Friday was the last day to actually purchase the sale agreement, and I wanted to have the property so my mother can live in the property. And I felt like this issue kind of done, but today I thought it was going to be in the agenda so that the council can actually take a vote on it. What happened is all the forces goes against me versus 15 and 18. If I wait until 18 for the council to vote on that, I am going to lose the property. However, based on the approval on the short sale, they said that I had to close on the property by the 15th. And my lawyer actually tried to ask for an extension. There was no extension provided. Ultimately, what happened, I felt like I am being on a hook for a $7,000 mortgage, which I never intended to take. That's why what I really would like to ask, if there is a way for the council to reconsider that, I will greatly appreciate that. And I know I've been working very hard, and I know Mike Driscoll has worked very hard, and all parties are involved to actually make this work. But ultimately, it did not work in my favor the way I truly wanted it to work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else on the, yes, Rodney.
Good evening, Rodney Boyd, 62 Roosevelt Avenue. Time and again now, we've heard about the owner of the baseball team. I don't know him, don't know the outfit that he's affiliated with, don't really care. I don't care what a person's religious affiliation is. I've seen Muslims all over the world, everyone from Karachi to Sri Lanka. This is not a wounded class of people. They look just like us. They talk just like us. And I think they got to get over it. We don't need this to be dragged up every time we turn around. The guy spoke for 6 or 7 minutes here. I get 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else under citizen comment general? Anyone else under citizen comment general? Third and final request. Anyone else like to speak? Yes, please, sir.
Good evening. My name is Naeem Omrani. My reason for being here, and I'm sure you see that there are other Muslims from the Islamic Center in the area, and we've had to contend with bias, bigotry, slander about Muslims. And I'm here to tell you that I'm Muslim. I've been Muslim for 45 years, maybe 50, and the onslaught of negativity that's been launched against us is it's upsetting. Many of us in the former military, I became Muslim when I was in the Navy, and what we object to is members who are recognized in the community who are slandering us, saying that we are terrorists, and not only this, the damage that it's doing to those to whom he's overseeing. Now, if this person insists on doing this, then I think that there should be a platform to allow him to air his views without doing this in a subversive way. So we are very capable of defending our religion, but what we can't do is defend negativity thrown against us and passing this on to younger people. So that's basically what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Again, anyone else like to address the council on non-agenda items? Anyone else on non-agenda items? Would be the third and final time. Anyone else on non-agenda items? Seeing no one else, thank you all for sharing your concerns. I declare that closed then.
Public hearing. An ordinance amending Section 921, small a, number 3 of the Norwich Code of Ordinance by repealing and restating the same, and Section 9.35 of the Norwich Code of Ordinances by adding a new paragraph to be designated small f and changing the designation of the existing paragraph F in such section to G.
I declare this public hearing open and would invite anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this ordinance as proposed. And would like to speak in favor of this ordinance. Anyone like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Third, anytime like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing none, is there anyone in opposition to this ordinance? there anyone in opposition? Third time, is there anyone in opposition? Seeing no one in opposition, then I declare the public hearing closed. Thank you.
Second reading in action. An ordinance amending Section 9-21, small a 3 of the Norwich Code of Ordinances by repealing and restating the same, and Section 9-35 of the Norwich Code of Ordinance by adding a new paragraph to be designated small f and changing the designation of the existing paragraph small f in such section to G, small g.
Entertain a motion, please, to bring it forward. Alderwoman Gould, second Pro Tem Nash. Is there discussion on the ordinance? Any discussion? Does anyone have any questions of our Public Works Director, who is here tonight? Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Alderman Browning,
Yes.
Alderman DeLucia,
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Nash,
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom,
Yes.
5-0.
Motion passes. The count is 5-4, 0 against.
Petition and communication, letter of resignation from Christopher B. Dixon from the Norwich Ethics Commission.
A motion, please, to accept. Pro Tem Nash, second by Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Yes, Alderwoman Gould.
I would just like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Dixon for all of his years of service on the Ethics Committee, and we appreciate the time that he gave to the city of Norwich.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor accepting? Thank you. This is unanimous. Opposed, 5-0.
City Manager's Report.
Thank you. This is the city manager's report for November 18th, 2019. Congratulations to Alderman Gould, Alderman DeLucia, and Nash for winning re-election, and newly elected members Mark Benacourt, Ella Miles, and Darrell Wilson. The official swearing-in ceremony will take place on Tuesday, December 3rd at 7:30 p.m., with the reception immediately following. The Board of Education members will be also sworn in that evening. Controller Josh Pothier and I will meet with the new council members this week to give them information they will need for their upcoming term. My assistant, Jackie Barbarossa, is coordinating the yearly goal-setting session for all council members, which will be held in early February. Staff and I met with the city's municipal advisors to review our bond rating, and we have maintained a strong AA rating with Standard & Poor's. The Human Resources Department has coordinated mandatory sexual harassment prevention training for all employees. Sessions will take place throughout the month of November and is required by law for all employees to complete by October 1st, 2020, or within 6 months of hire. I hope you had the opportunity to watch the Hallmark movie Holiday for Heroes that was filmed in Norwich and the surrounding areas. City Hall and the ice rink looked great, and it was interesting and entertaining to see the completed movie after watching the crews film here. The 11th annual Otis A Festival will be held at Otis Library on Saturday, November 23rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., where city staff will participate as celebrity parkers. I would like to thank Corrine Rinaldi of Norwich for her holiday tree donation, which should arrive this week. The tree is in memory of her neighbor, David Huntley, who passed away in 1998. Ms. Rinaldi asked his young son, Dale, to help her plant the small tabletop tree in honor of his father. Dale helped water and take care of the tree, and now, 21 years later, it will be placed in the City Hall Plaza and will be officially lighted at the Light Up City Hall event on Friday, December 6th. I also have attached the treasurer's report from Michael Gualtieri for the quarter ending September 30th, 2019 for your review. And that completes my report for this evening.
Thank you. Are there questions of the city manager? Yes, Alderman Browning.
Two questions. The first is, I'm not going to try to negotiate a solution to that gentleman's problems here, but I do have a question for you, which is, did his attorney on that short sale provide you with a proposal for resolving this matter? Attorney Driscoll?
We had a number of discussions. Attorney DeFrancesco represented Mr. Santillo on this. I think they started on Wednesday through Friday of last week. There was no resolution beyond the fact that the council had approved by resolution that the city manager could enter into an agreement that resulted in the payment to the city of $10,000. And we structured the $10,000 of the $3,000 down. The balance paid in quarterly installments of $1,000 a quarter for 7 quarters with interest at 4%. That basically was the resolution we reached.
Okay. Is there any chance that there will be a resolution in the next several weeks of your conversations with Attorney DeFrancesco on this?
That is the resolution. That's a note has been signed, a mortgage has been recorded on the land records, and I'm told that the check for $3,000 is being sent to me or to the city either today or tomorrow.
Okay. Let's see. That was the first question. The second question I have is, since we're going to be voting on a resolution involving Falls Avenue, but this is appearing that it's going to keep dragging, is there any way you and our city planner might be able to create a checklist for the council members? Because every time I think that we're going to manage to sell this property to a butter, some additional issue comes up, and like maybe we need a variance, maybe there's some other issue, and it's been going on for about 6 months, and I'm now thoroughly confused, and the next council, I suspect, will be similarly confused, unless they have greater real estate sophistication than I do. So is there some way that we can just boil it down and figure out what we need to do to actually move forward on this property?
I think what they're going to have to do is establish boundaries around the property to be conveyed, split the parcel, and in doing that, to avoid creating either 1 or 2 non-conforming properties, which would require at least a variance, is to require that be merged so that you'll end up with the existing lot will be out of existence, but it'll be divided into 2 portions, one to attach to the other city property, the second to attach to the abutter's property. Now, that legal description, the city planner and the city engineer or the director of public works have looked at it in the context of preserving the parking which is needed for the waterfront access and eliminating the current right-of-way that services that parcel will be conveyed, so that access will have to come from another piece of property. That's going to just involve legal descriptions when we get to that point.
Did you say merger, as in merger with the intermodal transportation property?
That will be where it will be merged.
What?
That is going to be where it's going to be merged.
But doesn't that immediately take the bonds which apply to that property, which have not been discharged, and then apply it to the property you're merging it with, even if the properties are unitary for only, say, 5 minutes? Doesn't the bonds still apply to the property that you then split out again?
Well, the bond applies to the property. The existing property we're talking about merging into it is the one that has the exit ramp and the entrance ramp to the Intermodal Transportation Center. That's subject to an easement agreement with the state. So it's essentially part of the property already. And the 3 parking spaces that are on it are for the benefit of the Intermodal Transportation Center. So other than in its attachment, it serves that purpose.
But there's a bond. There's, I think, more, at least there's a state bond and a federal bond, correct, on the Intermodal Transportation Center, right? I mean, we can't, that property is indebted.
The property, well, not the, it's not hypothecated. The bond is the payable to the bondholders. I can't even tell you if it's related to a security interest. The bond, though, applies to the project. it's a tax exempt bond, so one of the concerns is that we not exceed the private use portion that's allowable either by physical amount or by dollar value or by use of the
Yeah,
property.
I just don't see how, if you merge the two properties in order to change the boundary of the property you're then going to remove from it, you don't subject both pieces of property to the conditions of the bond.
Well, the portion that's being conveyed to a neighbor, if it's not subject to the bond now, isn't going to be because you've merged it. The other parcel, again, we're trying to avoid creating a non-conforming lot is one of the things. And the second thing is we're trying to structure this so that the flood issues that may pertain to that in terms of the amount of work that can be done on the property without requiring full flood adjustments can be met.
Yeah, I think we have a professional disagreement over whether you're going to indebt that particular property.
You may.
You all set? Is there other questions of the city manager? Thank you. Thank you, John.
Citizen comment on resolutions.
I declare citizen comment on the resolutions on the agenda open and invite people to speak on these resolutions. The person first signed up is Marvin Ceruto.
Marvin Ceruto, 100 Star Street, Norwich, Connecticut, United States of America. The first resolution, every year I always invite the Norwich Golf Course Authority to come forward and speak a little bit because a lot of people don't know too much about it, and it's a successful entity here in town, and sometimes they're kind of shy and humble, but it's always nice to hear from them. And on number 7, it says December 2nd. I thought we always did the third Monday because it was close to Christmas. So I'll go against that one. I want to be here on December 2nd. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address this council on the resolutions on tonight's agenda? Please.
Thank you for addressing the city council, and I'm glad you're all here. My name is H. Tucker Braddock. I live at 868 Scotland Road, Norwich, Connecticut. I serve on the Harbor Commission, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Harbor Commission. We take a good deal of pride in what we're trying to accomplish in the Harbor Commission. And when we have a deteriorating building on Hollyhock Island that has been there for numerous years, I can go back about 4 years mentioning this building that is deteriorating, and no one seems to take interest in the fact that this building is falling in. We have buildings in this community that should be on the tax rolls. This is what, in my mind, what we're trying to accomplish is put more property on the tax rolls. And yet we have this building languishing there, doing nothing, and it can be on the tax rolls. And for the past year, we've been trying to decide where a line should be going to make one lot go to the intermodal transportation system and the other side of that line going to the old watershed building. Is that difficult? We have a lot of professional people here, and I'm just asking if we can get this thing squared away so that we can put this building on the tax rolls so we can, as a Harbor Commission, and that's what I'm speaking from, improve our harbor. We have very little amount of land there to begin with because of the railroad, and whatever property we have that we can get back on the tax rolls to make it beneficial to the taxpayers of this community, I please ask you to take a constructive step forward to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak to the council on agenda items? Anyone else like to address the council on agenda items? Third time. Anyone else like to address the council on agenda items? Seeing no one else, I declare citizen comment closed. Thank you both.
Resolution 1. Relative to the approval of the budget for the Norwich Golf Course Authority.
Entertain a motion, please, to bring the resolution forward. Pro Tem Nash, is there a second? Alderwoman Gould, is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. The vote is 5-0.
Number 2, relative to the disposition of property at 18 Falls Avenue.
Motion, please, to bring it forward. Pro Tem Nash, second Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Yes, Alderman DeLucia.
Well, my first question, and I'll direct it to the chair, to the mayor, so if, as part of the last paragraph where it says that our resolution to send this to RFP, which was intended to guarantee that there would be action on this building, not only for it to be conveyed, but also for it to be improved within 3 years. What guarantee do we now have if we approve this resolution? We lock ourselves into only the abutting property owner, who has a stellar reputation and has been a longstanding business member of our community. That is not where my concern lies. Where my concern does lie is that nothing in here talks about what the price for that property is going to be. Nothing in this resolution says anything about how long the improvements that this building so sorely needs, that we just heard from the podium, from the chair of the Harbor Commission. All of those things are all open. I mean, for crying out loud, we haven't even determined which part's going to go to the parking garage and which part's going to be attached to the abutting property owner. So this thing's got like 4 question marks hanging over it, but yet we're pushing it through for reasons that I cannot put my finger on. So maybe if you could shed some light on that for us, Mr. Mayor, I would be happy to hear your insight.
Give it a shot. I think you've already answered one of your own questions. The configuration of the property and its location, the fact that it's bordered by the canal, bordered by the access to the ITC, limits this property solely to an abutter who might have or make use of this. Otherwise, there will never be access to this property, regardless of who buys it. The value, there is an assessed value that the assessor has placed on this building. That will play a large role, I think, in any selling price. That's generally what happens. You look at the assessed value of the property, and that will be taken into consideration. The description that the Corporate Counsel gave delineated the areas of access, not only to the 3 spaces for public access and parking that must be maintained, but also the ramp that flows up and down and in and out of the ITC. The remaining portion would be split and would become part, as I understand it, of the owner of the adjoining property. That's the only option there is. It can't become combined with any other piece or parcel. I just personally think it's time that, we move this issue forward, as one of our speakers raised the issue. It's just going to continue to deteriorate, fall apart, and we have an opportunity to strike a relationship with a established business owner in our community over half a century. The business is operated, continues to grow. sometimes you got to have a little faith, too, that it will work out if you trust the parties that are involved. It is a limited opportunity. There is only one abutter to this property that has access to this building. No one else, because you cannot diminish the access that was outlined again by the corporate council. You can't block the ramp, you can't block access to the ITC, you cannot block access to those 3 parking spaces which must be maintained for the public. It's a very narrow description that we're dealing with here, and it does set limits, but it's really the only option other than to do nothing and watch it fall apart. And I choose not to do that. It's my 2 cents. You have the floor.
Thank you. So I think we're ignoring one possible option in spite of a plea to return it to the tax rolls, which is our ultimate goal for, I would say, almost every property in the city of Norwich, considering the fact that this particular building in its state, nearly falling in on itself from what we're hearing, remains in the city's control. We demolish the building and guarantee public access and parking for public access to the waterway. I think that that's an option that we haven't even spoken of, but it's clearly an option.
It's clearly an option that results in no revenue to the city. Yeah, I would choose to create some revenue to the city and to the tax rolls and help the taxpayers.
And in the spirit of healthy debate, I would counter by saying that the amount of waterfront property available to the public is finite. That's all. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Any other comments, concerns? Yes, Alderman Browning.
I will be voting for this, though I have grave reservations, because I think once you combine these 2 properties, I just simply don't understand how the bond on the intermodal transportation center will not also affect the other one. I expect that some future council will have to deal with that. On the other hand, I think that this property has been dragging on long enough, so I will vote to approve this, even though I think that there will be future problems that will come up.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Resolution 2? Those opposed? Thank you. The motion passes 4-1.
Number 3, relative to a reappointment to the Inland Wetlands Watercourses and Conservation Commission.
A motion, please, to bring this forward. Alderwoman Gould, second Pro Tem Nash. Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion for the members of the public's knowledge, the person being appointed is Mr. Douglas Lee. This is a reappointment as a regular member of the Inland Wetlands Watercourse. All those in favor? Unanimous, opposed 5-0.
Number 4, relative to the sale of 21 Whitaker Avenue.
Motion, please, to bring it forward. Pro Tem Nash, is there a second? Alderwoman Gould, is there discussion? Yes, Alderman DeLucia.
I would just like to point out that for this resolution and the next, these are perfect examples of returning properties to the tax rolls that have little or no impact on the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous, opposed 5-0.
Number 5, relative to the sale of 23 Whitaker Avenue.
A motion, please, bring it forward. Pro Tem Nash, is there a second? Alderwoman Gould, is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous, 5-0. Is the vote?
Number 6, relative to a deed in lieu of foreclosure for 15 Rogers Avenue.
A motion, please, bring it forward. Pro Tem Nash, is there a second? Alderwoman Gould, is there discussion? Yes, Alderman DeLucia.
I had a quick question on this. I didn't get a chance to follow up with Corporation Counsel. So this is a property that we are taking into the city's ownership or on the city's umbrella for back taxes.
instead of foreclosing it, she's offered to convey it back to the city for the back taxes that's owed on it. The assessed value is $400. The back taxes are, I think we list them as $389.52, and presumably there may be taxes due, interest is being added anyway. So it's close to a wash in that sense, but the city will get this back, can keep it or sell it again if it chooses to.
And this might be an unfair question, and that's okay if it is, but is this another situation where maybe an abutter will be the only person or party that would be interested in this property?
We hope it'd be in a butter that we can merge the lot into the abutter. I think this is like 1/10 of an acre,
Right.
It's a very small piece of
Yeah,
property.
clearly. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous, the vote is 5-0.
Number 7, relative to cancel the December 2nd, 2019 council meeting.
Motion, please, to bring it forward. Pro Tem Nash, is there a second? Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Pro Tem Nash.
So you just might want to explain so that the individuals in the audience that love attending our meetings are why we're doing this.
This is an option. The new council will be sworn in on December 3rd. The question that's been put before the body is whether or not to hold this meeting on December 2nd, the evening just before. We, in agenda setting, discussed if there are, with the department heads, if there's any really pending pressing issues that could be acted upon that night. And at the time, we did not have any, so we put the matter to the members of council to decide this evening whether to hold it or not. This has been done many times before, somewhat of a tradition, canceling the meeting of the council going out, and then allowing the new council to come in the very next evening. That's what's before us. Yes, Alderman Browning.
I will be voting against this resolution. Some of the work we do involves interfacing with the city manager, corporation counsel. I still wish at that time to get additional information about what's happening with 18 Falls Avenue. I also wish to further discuss at that date work corporation counsel is doing involving a letter we have discussed involving sharing of information between the city of Norwich and the various volunteer fire departments involving opioid overdoses. That will be my last opportunity as a city council member to deal with these issues in a formal capacity. I would choose not to give those up. Obviously, every city council member may have a different opinion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing. Is there other discussion on this issue? Seeing none. All those in favor of Resolution 7? Those opposed?
Thanks.
Motion passes 3-2.
New business ordinance. Number 1, an ordinance appropriating $750,000 for the planning, acquisition, and construction of a water main service line for the Countryside Drive Association and authorizing the issuance of $750,000 revenue bonds of cities secured solely by water revenue to meet said appropriation, and authorizing the city and the Department of Public Utilities to enter into grant and loan agreements and a joint resolution with the state of Connecticut with respect hereto.
This constitutes the first reading of this ordinance, but this ordinance also must be reviewed by the Commission on the City Plan. So I would ask for a motion to waive the full text and reading of this ordinance and to refer it to the Commission on the City Plan. Is there such a motion? Alderwoman Gould, second.
Set it for January
Pro
6th.
Tem Nash.
You also need to set the
January
And
6th.
the date for
January
January 5th?
January 6th, I think.
6th, okay. The date would be January 6th, that is hopefully reported back to us
For public hearing.
for public hearing, yes, and second read. Is that clear? That was a little
Yes.
convoluted.
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Yes, for a moment, please. Alderman Browning, a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to briefly address you since this is my last meeting on the city council. I will try to be brief. I'd like to thank my mom, Mary Browning, my brother, Frederick Browning, for my innumerable absences over the last 2 years, my paralegal, Sunny Shen, for putting up with my last-minute schedule changes, which did affect our closing businesses over the time. I'd just like to thank Larry and Susan Goldman, who talked me into running for office. I'd like to thank Tucker Braddock here, who initially got me in politics in 2009. I don't know if he could anticipate with the results, but much appreciated. We actually started on the Reed and Hughes Building Committee. When I call him long-suffering, you'll understand the reason why. An issue that is still with us. I'd also like to thank Bob Zernetsky. I'm the last person in local politics in Norwich who worked on Bob's mayoral campaign way back when in 2009. If you talk to other people about Bob, you'll hear all kinds of horrible things, but they're generally unfair. I'd like to just provide you with one example. Back when he was city manager, he knew that there were issues with our civil development office, and it wasn't until the passing of our civil defense director that the Laurel Hill Fire Department moved in and had to clean out that building. And unfortunately in Norwich, and I've been to meetings where people have generally said horrible things about the media. And, unfortunately in Norwich, we seem to deal with problems when we have to, when we're forced to, when there's no other alternative. And unfortunately, that's often when they hit the media. So I'd like to thank the people over there, because if not for the reporting on things like John Bilda and what happened with NPU, we might never have gotten to any sort of resolution with that. I have a friend named Chuck Harden who once said, sometimes there's not a winning solution, there's an optimal solution. And I'd just like to mention as a final detail, we're obviously going to go through a lot of transition with our baseball team. And I thank John Levanchi for pointing out that our team, at least according to a rough list in Baseball Digest, looks like it's in danger. I would simply ask the citizens to know that if the worst happens, that A, you try to fill the stadium, B, you try to do it at an affordable rate. We can't get into creating a baseball authority where we're losing money hand over fist for the sake of a team. We're right now probably in a slightly negative income flow on that. If you compare the lease with our upkeep, we can't afford a situation where we're losing, say, $300,000 a year to support that, but that's a real possibility. But finally, if it doesn't work out, I would ask us, and we can't attract a new team at a favorable rate, I would ask us to shutter that stadium and turn it back into taxable commercial property. This is stuff over the horizon. I hope we never get there, but I have just seen with the ice rink and with some of the other authorities we have run in this town, how it's so easy to hemorrhage money. And I know that'll sound vaguely Republican, but it's a real concern I have, which is everyone likes to do the fun stuff. But then if you don't take a look at the back end for if you can make this self-sustaining, you're really going to end up not being able to pay for the stuff we really need to do, like schools and police and fire. So with that, thank you very much, and I hope I have closed in under 5 minutes.
Thank you.
I hereby move pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, Section 1-200, subsection 6, that the members of the Norwich City Council go into an executive session for the purpose of discussing proceedings concerning a sale or lease of real estate or interest in real estate, as well as the acquisition or disposition of real estate or interest in real estate when publicly regarding the same would adversely impact the price of the same. City Manager John Salamone and Corporation Counsel Michael Driscoll shall be asked to participate during all or portions of this executive session at the request of the City Council. I hereby further move pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Section 1-200, subsection 6, that the members of the Norwich City Council continue in executive session for the purpose of discussing strategy and negotiations with respect to pending claims and litigation. City Manager John Salamone and Corporation Counsel Michael Driscoll shall be asked to participate during all or portions of this executive session at the request of the City Council.
Thank you. Is there a second? Tim Nash. All those in favor? It's unanimous. 3